Dealing with disappointment. Time after time, I've seen Christians fall and lose faith after experiencing disappointment. When running to alcohol or weed, whatever their vice of choice was before they met Christ, doing anything to shake off that dark, overpowering feeling stuck in the chest that doesn't go away but recedes only if they drift off to sleep, only to return with the dawn once more. It's unfortunate, but massive disappointment or little disappointment is a part of life, and it's a part that we cannot escape. God has, however, given us the resources to become equipped to deal with it. It won't be easy, but neither is facing any great challenge. Thing is, the greater the challenge, the greater the victory will be. Disappointment stems from many sources: loneliness, unemployment, being rejected, failing to achieve a desired goal, a loved one not serving God, or having a prayer seemingly go unanswered. Then, if you're a follower of Christ, you read all the promises in His Word, like Psalm 34 verse 10 that says, "The young lions suffer want and hunger, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing." And this makes you wonder why these promises seem to exclude you. Thing is, they don't. What causes even more disappointment in us is our lack of perspective to what God is promising. Does Psalm 34 promise you a new house and a car? I don't think it does. I believe it promises you peace in your heart, in Christ, and provision of basic needs in Him. Seeking God in prayer and Bible study changes our perspective, as Romans 12 verse 2 says, and I quote, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God," end quote. Besides having to change our perspective, then God also gives us many guidelines how to deal with disappointment. 1. Preparation. Luke 6:12. Now it came to pass in those days that he went out to the mountain to pray, and continued all night in prayer to God, end quote. In this case, Christ spent the night in prayer before choosing His closest 12 disciples, including the one He knew would betray Him. Christ spent time in prayer and gained in strength to do as the Father commanded. Choosing the 12, God showed He loved them as brothers, despite knowing Judas would betray Him. He knew he would be bitterly disappointed, yet did as he knew he had to, but chose to be strengthened beforehand in the Father to be able to face the coming situation. Be realistic. John 16:33, "You will have suffering in this world." Wow. In another verse it says, "We are sent as sheep among wolves." Another states that the world will hate us as it hated Christ. Expect this, but continue to follow Matthew 28:19 and make disciples. Expect to be hated, but give love. Be strengthened by spending time in the presence of God. Do you think Paul in the Bible had it any easier? In Philippians 1:23-24 he says, "I am torn between the two. I long to depart and be with Christ, which is far better. But to remain in the flesh is more necessary for your sake." End quote. Take your disappointments to God. Read through the Psalms. See how David went to God with everything. Psalm 40 verse 1-3. "I awaited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. He drew me up from the pit of destruction, out of the miry bog, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord." There is healing and power in taking your feelings to God and praising Him despite being in the storm. 1 Peter 5 verse 7. "Give all your worries and cares to God, for He cares about you." Take the promises. Proverbs 18:10. "The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run to it and are protected." Deuteronomy 31:6. "Be strong and courageous. Don't be terrified or afraid of them. For the Lord your God is the one who will go with you. He will not leave you or abandon you." Isaiah 51:12. "I am the one who comforts you. Who are you that you should fear humans who die, or a son of man who is given up like grass?" Revelation 21:4. "He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more, grief, crying, and pain will be no more, because the previous things have passed away." You must remember there is no pleasing God without faith in Him. Take His promises, repeat them to Him, and believe them. John 16:33, I have told you these things, so that in me you may have peace. You will have suffering in this world. Be courageous. I have conquered the world. End quote. The mystery is once again no mystery. The secret to handling disappointment is to live like God teaches in His Word. Spend time in the Word, spend time in praise and worship, and let Him equip you to live a better life with the promise of an eternal one.